Hello everybody, welcome back to Just to Pass, and in today's video we're going to continue our discussion on the different types of forces acting on an object. This video we're going to discuss on the two forces acting perpendicular to each other. I have already done a video on two forces acting on a straight line, which I will post the link in the description. Now, what does two forces acting perpendicular even mean? Now, we have an object right here, and in a straight line we were always dealing with it's up versus down or right versus left. But in this, we are going to have one which is vertical, which is upwards, and horizontal. And we'll be given two different forces. Let's say, for instance, 15 Newton and 20 Newton, like that. The resultant force of this kind of system will always be in between the two forces pulling it. So what do I mean by that is, the resultant force will always be in the middle of the two forces that is being acted upon. Right here. Now, it could be closer to 15 or it could be closer to 20. That depends on the different forces acting upon it, which will be indicated by the angle of the resultant force. In order to solve this, we need to do a couple steps. The first step that we have to do is we have to form a right angle triangle. Now, how do we form a right angle triangle? Is we keep the horizontal force as it is, 20 Newton, but we move the vertical force from one side to the other end, which means I take this and I push it here, the 15 Newton, and the resultant force remains the same. Now, as you can see, we have already formed a right angle triangle. The sides of the right angle triangle will just be represented by the force that it has, which means that the horizontal side will be 20 Newton and the vertical side will be 15 Newton. And to find the magnitude of the resultant force, what we have to do is to just find the side of the hypotenuse. And how do we find the side of the hypotenuse? We can use Pythagoras Theorem, which I have already covered in a previous video, which I will also link in the description. So the way we use Pythagoras Theorem is we take both sides, 15 square plus 20 square, you will get your resultant force. So let's say I put the resultant force as F, we will get F square. Now what do we do when we get 15 square plus 20 square? You get 625 equals to F square. We can move the square to the other side. Get 625 equals to F, we will get F equals to 25 Newton. Now that we have found the magnitude of this resultant force, 25 Newton, we can now find what is the angle of the force, which is step number 2. How we find the angle is we just use trigonometry. We can use sine theta. Now this angle right here is the same as this theta right here. And how do we find theta is we use sine equals to opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite will just be the opposite length from the angle, which will be 15. And the hypotenuse is the resultant force, the magnitude of the resultant force that we already found. So you get sine theta. Now if I move the sine to the other side, we will get theta equals to an inverse sine 15 over 25, which you will get when you plug it into your calculator. You will get 36.87 degrees. So this means that the complete diagram will look like this. We have an object which is being pulled vertically up by 15 Newton, horizontally by 20 Newton, and it will have a resultant force of 25 Newton with an angle of 36.86 degrees from the ground. And hence we have completed the diagram. Now, if you found this helpful and if you need any questions, you can comment down below. We will continue with the next part of this subtopic, which will be two forces that are not acting perpendicularly to each other. Until then, take care everyone.